Welcome, Reanimated fans, to this week's episode. I am H.A. Conrad here in Brooklyn, and here, as always, my intrepid co-host from the West Coast. Hello, Stuart.
Hey, good day. How you doing?
Good. Recovering from, new social interactions that I'm not necessarily totally ready for, but working on it.
I hear you.
I know, but excited to chat with you today about Day Shift. But before we get to that, we're gonna talk about a couple news items. Halloween season, so lots of stuff out there about zombie haunted houses and things like that, which we won't get too much into. I think everybody knows they're out there, right? So, but we had a couple of different things that people are talking about out there. One of them is that there is a video game called Night at the Gates of Hell, which is a retro zombie game. And I don't know if you had a chance to check this out, but the graphics look like pointedly retro, and it does look kind of fun. But I didn't go through those. There wasn't a trailer that I saw, but you may have seen something else.
I have not watched a trailer, but I know that there's been some buzz around this game, especially in gaming news channels for the last week or two, and the art style is very very retro, but also like gruesome in that way that Italian horror used to be. And like sort of a TV look, even like
Yeah, it
it's
does have that like kind of feel, right?
yeah. I don't know that this would be the sort of game that I would get into. Maybe it could be fun, but generally when I go back and re-experience these sorts of games that I actually played when they were coming out, not necessarily horror, but they don't capture me the same way. I like a little more realism. So some of the whole revision, not revisionist, but like this, taking a retro approach to things doesn't usually suck me in. But I think for people who haven't experienced it before, it's more appealing.
Is it like a cost-cutting effort since it doesn't, or is this just equally as expensive in terms of doing like the graphics and
Well,
like that?
yeah, I don't know. I have not ever made a video game, and I don't know if they're like actually processing this, having to use an engine to make it look this bad, you
Right.
know,
It does look pretty
or
bad.
or if it's just, yeah, maybe it is cheaper, and like your textures have fewer pixels and like less texture to them, and so it takes less time to develop. There certainly could be an argument there.
Mm. All right. Well, I leave this stuff to you to to think about
I
and
will
try
think
out.
about
But
it for sure.
and then a couple of cool trailers or trailer, I don't know, one trailer that I was excited to see, especially because Pedro Pascal is in it. But the trailer for Last of Us came out this past week, and Pedro Pascal is excited about it, as he is excited about many of his projects. But it looks pretty good, and I have to say, HBO does a fantastic job with the soundtrack, and this was no exception. Just in getting people excited. What did you think about it?
I've been seeing a lot of really favorable responses because of how true to the game it appears, which I think, for people who've played the game, that's going to be important. I thought it looked amazing. I love the fact that young Lady Mormont is the, I think it's
I
Ella
know.
is the lead.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty exciting. I like her a lot, so I was pretty thrilled to see her in this, and a little bit of dual Game of Thrones people in this, so that's awesome.
yeah, Bella Ramsey, which is a very memorable name. I don't know why I can't remember it. But it looks atmospheric, and the visuals looked impressive. Looked like it has a pretty interesting cast. I saw Nick Offerman in there too,
Mhm.
so I can't wait. I think it's coming out in 2023. I'm not sure exactly when.
Yeah, it said 2023, but again, a little muddy in terms of exactly when, so we'll see. Again, and then next up there is the Among the Living trailer. So, um, first thoughts about it that you have.
This was kind of buried in the news feed, so it's not getting like massively pushed. It's being produced by a company called Dread, and I don't know that I'm familiar really with work that they've done. It's set in England. The cast appeared to be English, British, whatever. Uh, the I would say the cinematography looked good. Like the images and the editing looked good, but the sound was bad. And I don't
Yes.
understand. And I know that's difficult. Like God knows, audio's hard. But it's if you've got your cinematography down, that's what I just don't understand. It's like I would expect them both to be kind of bad looking, but I
Right.
thought that the picture looked okay.
So I had the same thought, and I think what I thought was weird about it is that this is a trailer, so you would expect that even if there was something going on that maybe they need to fix in post, or they're still, they're kind of like, I don't know, ironing things out, that at least within the trailer they could like do something about it, and it was really evident and obvious and uneven. So I don't know if there's something I'm missing here, or it was just like a something. It was very unusual given the quality of the filming and the editing that at least seemed to be apparent in the trailer.
Okay, yeah, I
So
guess we
maybe
landed
they
in the
can.
same place there. Because it looks the story wise, it looks like, dad in the apocalypse sort of storyline. It's we have seen that sort of story before, but the stakes are much higher in those sorts of stories. So the story even looked kind of compelling.
Mhm.
But yeah, like it just doesn't make sense that was what they wanted to show off the film with, was like some kind of scratchy dialogue.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe we'll see that this gets remedied, but I'd still look, I'd give it a chance, and let's hope that this other issue is resolved. So um but without further ado, do you want to talk about Day Shift, which is this is just came out this past summer, right?
Yeah.
um, and directed by J.J. Perry. We have a screen who did a lot of like he did a lot of like stunt work, correct?
That's their
Um,
first film, as far as
yeah,
I know.
a screenplay by Tyler Tice and Shay Hatton. And we have a pretty like a the lead of this is Jamie Foxx, but we also have Snoop Dogg, and we've got a Franco in it.
I
So
think the only Franco who's allowed to work anymore, Dave, who
yeah.
is hilarious and charming and really brings some needed sort of levity to this film. Not that Jamie Foxx can't deliver that. That guy is hilarious.
He
Uh,
plays a good foil to Jamie Foxx though,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is
The two of them work on a level that is just is different and funny. But yeah, the yeah, I mean, between Snoop Dogg, Dave Franco, and Jamie Foxx, right there, and then Peter Stormare has a small part in this. And I don't know who plays Seeger, but that guy also is amazing. I don't know who that dude was. Who was he?
yeah. I don't know, but he was great.
Yeah. Oh, his name's Eric Lang. I don't know that I've ever seen this guy, but I liked what he was putting out there.
No, he did a great job. He played it well. And I got okay. So first of all, I would say that this is you know this is definitely like a fun film. It's not supposed to be super serious, but it's got a lot of homages to different like vampire horror films, right? Like it's got a little bit of Blade mixed in. It's got a little bit of like Shaun of it. Like it's definitely like a comedy. Um, but and overall I really liked it and it was fun. If you don't take it too seriously, you can really enjoy it. And it has got like Jamie Foxx does a really good job at, just playing this sort of like beleaguered dad who's trying to like make things right with his family, like, but has to hide his profession and that kind of thing. Like, it has a lot of levity to it, and I don't think it should take itself too seriously. There are some things that I truly think could have made this even better and made it greater. But overall, I think it was just a lot of fun.
It was extremely happy uh, viewing. Very orange movie. A lot of orange filters over everything because it's
Yeah.
Los Angeles. I did I some of the things that I think might have made it more enjoyable were I don't know if I was alone in having this reaction, but a lot of the story is Jamie Foxx having to like raise all this money, or his wife is going to take his daughter and live and move to the East Coast, I think, right, or
Yeah,
Florida.
it had a little bit of Die Hard vibe going on there.
It's
Right?
what I really don't love about this is just like the antiquated family policy that they're like
Yeah.
espousing here. like Jamie Foxx is the only what's the woman doing? What's Joss doing to raise any of this
Right.
money? Why is this
Right.
all Jamie Foxx's
Yeah,
responsibility?
it seems a very antiquated gender role kind of a thing, right?
She's just
Like,
in her house in her like activewear working on tiling projects
right,
and
right.
doesn't appear to pick her child up from school or take them to birthday parties. That's all
Ah,
Jamie
so
Foxx's job.
so you're coming across sort of my biggest criticism of the film, which is like the character development and the storyline. I think that the thing that would have made this a lot stronger is developing her character, but also the Seth character, which is the Dave Franco character, and the relationship between them. I think they did a good job with what they had, but I think it could have been even better.
They didn't
Um,
have much, yeah, because there were several cuts where it was like, okay, we're going out, we're doing vampire hunting, day's over, like jump cut to the next morning. Like there was no time to develop Dave Franco.
well, and also like the sort of, the whole sort of, the trope of the bad cop who gets like somebody to like the sort of like the foil basically to monitor him, and he's going to bring him over to his side, and that kind of, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's normal buddy cop. Weirdly, it's like a buddy cop kind of film.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do enough to develop that relationship in a way that I think both of them were probably capable of, and it made me wonder what ended up on the editing room floor, because I felt like maybe there was some of that, and they kind of cut it down. And this is like, I mean, it's a 2 hour movie, or close to, and like there were some. I think that they traded that for some of like the action set pieces, which were a lot of fun, but I think would have been better served. You could have cut those down and added a little bit more to character development, right?
Yeah,
Um,
you could have even cut the character of Apartment 19, Heather. Like to me,
yeah,
she's
that
useless.
seemed just it just didn't even make sense. Like it didn't even.
She was underdeveloped to the point of being like, wait, oh, she's coming with you. Oh, you're not. She's okay. You guys are cool. Well, I don't
Yeah,
understand that. Like she has like one line of dialogue that's supposed to explain why she's not gonna be like why she's a good vampire, and then it's just established. And I think I'm taking this too seriously, and it's not. You're not supposed to think about this kind of stuff. But to me, it is like it's a slight problem. Same with how Seth and she just walk off and are talking about like killing his coworker, sort of in a jokey way. And Bud's like, okay, bye. I'm a vampire hunter, but I don't care about you guys anymore.
right. It was weird, right?
But I mean, all that is balancing though what I would say like pretty amazing choreography. A lot of contortionists. I feel like they took a chapter from the Korean zombie extras in Train to Busan. A lot of people with their feet over their
Yep.
heads.
But done in a more comical way, because that's like how some of these fight scenes like laid out. And I mean, look, I get it because this director is a stunt person, and that's like the stuff that they really probably are excited about, and I understand that. But so many of those to me seems like a little overplayed, and you have, and maybe it's because they just didn't have a ton of screen time with him, but you have like Snoop Dogg, who's like, I wanted to know a lot more about his character, and we just didn't get that. Because clearly he's like, you get enough, and he plays it really well. And again, it's similar to the Seth character and the relationship between between Jamie Foxx and him. Well, I want to know about the relationship between Jamie Foxx and Snoop Dogg, right? And you just they don't give you enough of that. So that was, he plays it to the hilt, and he plays everything he's got with it, but it just kind of like just rings a little hollow.
Yeah, I mean, at the very end of the film too, they resurrect Snoop Dogg. Although you never saw him die, you just saw him pull out a suicide vest. So you kind of put two and two together. Maybe it was just light based. But then he like gets out of the manhole cover, says a throwaway line about Los Angeles and vampires, and then walks away, leaving his truck, like his probably multi-$1,000 minigun, all the stuff that he brought to that fight. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna walk away. It's just like, I mean, I get it. Like maybe it's cooler, but that's silly. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's just weird. It's just weird. And so I don't know.
It's just so there were things that ended up in the script that don't make a whole ton of sense, and the impression you get as the audience is like, just don't don't look there. look at Snoop Dogg silhouetted against the Los Angeles sunset or something.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
that,
and
yeah,
also they're a little muddy with their like, I don't know, whatever world this is in, there's some really cool things about it. I love that he's like faking his life as a vampire hunter by pretending to be a pool cleaner, which is pretty funny. Um, I like that there's specific things in place, like so if you hunt vampires, like the rules in this world, like that they can like track you because of gases and you have to like wash yourself with this thing. Like I liked some of the nice little touches like that.
yeah.
And they see, and I think that's what's a little bit frustrating to me about it is that they were so careful in certain parts of the world building, and in other parts it was like, these really important relationships, we don't have to flesh these out at all,
And
So
it's funny because that lemon curd that he uses to clean the zombie stuff off of him
mhm.
doesn't really play into to the plot.
No, not at all. It's just weird.
It's just flavor. Yeah, but I mean, it's great flavor. I love the fact that you have a scene of him using that in the first like 5-10 minutes of the movie, and then he gives it to Dave Franco, Seth, later, and is like, make sure you use this, and they
Right.
do, but it doesn't really save them because reasons. I don't know.
I guess. So anyway, but still, and then I do think that one of my favorite action sequences in this wasn't even a fight scene. Well, it sort of was, but it was the car chase or the car scene where he's like driving his truck with his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that that was kind of like a fun little like romp, and finally she's just like, "Okay, Dad, this is ridiculous," and like it's ridiculous in the first place because he does like puts her on the iPad and tells her to like, oh, do this and don't look up while I'm like doing these crazy maneuvers. And then finally she's like, oh, you need my help. And I thought that that was kind of a fun thing to get
Yeah.
her involved. And again, I think if they had done a little bit more of that, like just in having, just building up the relationships a little bit more and doing things like that. I don't know. It's very much, and this is like I have to say, like in terms of like these types of films, this is like it feels like a throwback film. Like this feels like something that would have been, I don't know, in the late 90s or something, and look, you got Underworld, which was like pretty but silly, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's a lot of leeway for that kind of film, and I'm okay if that's what this is. I guess part of it is that it felt like potential to be so much more, right?
Yeah.
So
If I can, while I'm thinking of darts to throw at this movie too, which I did enjoy, and it's flown right out of my head. Oh no, it was like you kind of get vibes of Will Smith in why can we never remember the name of this movie anymore? I Am Legend.
yeah.
You kind of get vibes of that from him because of all the locks he has on his door and
Yeah, yeah,
the care
totally.
he is taking about like covering his tracks and like locking up and being safe. But then he multiple times in this film comes home from work after dark and doesn't seem to have any like caution. Like when he first runs into Heather from 19B or apartment 19, I know she's a vampire, like,
Yeah,
right?
but why wouldn't he? It's like weird.
And it's after dark and he's coming home. And when he brings Paige home from the birthday party and after the car chase, it's somehow sunset. I don't know anybody who has a kid's birthday party after noon, honestly, or very few,
Right,
because
right.
most adults want to get those things over with as early in the day as they can. I've got one today from 10 to 1, just as an example. Um, so yeah, like he keeps coming home after dark, and I'm just like, that doesn't feel like the care that he would take. Because
Well,
it's usually in his like the way that the script works, he's so often like the when they do the hive clearing, which is like one
yeah,
of my favorite scenes, a series of scenes in the movie. I think they kill 50 vampires in that house, and it's just like beautifully choreographed, and there's a lot of fun repartee between the Nazarian brothers and Seth with his weird neck thing. But after that fight, and they're just sitting in front of that house, it seems like the first thing they've done all day. He has to go pick up Paige, and then takes her to the party, right? Is that the series of events there? He's not like picking her up from school. He's going to her house, taking her
yeah,
to a birthday party, and then back. It's like he constantly has no time to do anything. And then he ends up being out at night. And I find that frustrating.
yeah. And it's also, I don't know, the thing about the neighbor that also bothered me, it's like he does go by and he sees basically another vampire in there, and it's like he knows, like,
That guy
I
was
get,
out during the day. I mean, I know that they have the sunscreen and stuff, but like he basically slices that guy's throat at the birthday party, right? That was that guy.
Yeah, but like my thing about that whole interaction when he sees him at Heather's apartment, um, does this guy seem like I'm sorry, but Bud does not seem like the kind of person that's going to tolerate living next door to any vampire for any amount of time or have anybody who's interacting with them. That's not something that he is going to tolerate. Like I just don't buy it. So that there's like little things like that just don't ring true to me. Um, and again, this has a little bit of that campiness of like a Sam Raimi film. And so I think that that's a sort of where they were going, is that they're expecting you to be like, this isn't supposed to be deep. This isn't supposed to be like, um, you know, it's not taking itself too seriously. But again, those little tweaks, even in a campy movie, can be really make it hit just much better. And even though it's camp, it can still be like you can still build characters in a way that make you care a little bit about them, right?
Yeah,
I
but
don't know
like
enough. I don't know. I don't feel like we have enough of that in this at
maybe
all.
not. Taking it just face value. You watch this, you walk away. You're like, that was, there were some cool scenes in there, but when you think about it for a hot minute, you can just be like, all right, yeah, I don't know. Um, the world building, like we mentioned, there's the yellow goop, the lemon curd. It totally just looks like he's giving him a bell jar of lemon curd, right?
Yep.
But the world building with the Union and the relationship between Peter Stormare's pawn shop, Troy's pawn shop, and Bud, and how it's like off track or whatever, and the Union is where you go to get the good price on teeth. I thought this was very cool. This was like kind of Men in Black, I guess. It's just
Yeah,
all Will
totally.
Smith movie references, maybe. And I wanted to see more of the Union also. I was really hoping that the Union was going to show up and bail them out in the final movie instead of just like Big J doing like a one man army thing. But
Yeah, I thought the same thing. So I don't know, but again, this was a lot of fun. It's a popcorn movie. Like,
and they kind of set it up to where a sequel could be possible because they keep referencing a bigger vampire even than the big bad in this one.
yeah,
I mean,
El
there's kind of two big bads.
Jefe.
Seeger is one of the big bads because he's like the big bad bureaucrat. And then there's Audrey, the real estate agent, who I thought was really good in her
Right.
part. And then they mentioned the Jefe, El Jefe, who is apparently 400 years old, and they mentioned him a few times. And I almost thought that individual was going to come and bail out Bud in the final combat too, but they didn't do it that way either.
Yeah, same. I thought that was going to be, I thought because of the way they kept referencing um this big bad, that somehow that would turn out to be the person that was behind all of this. Or that the main sort of vampire villain was going to turn out to be this vampire. But anyway, I like it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's a good rainy day afternoon kind of film to watch. But again, and a great cast. And I really thought that Jamie Foxx did a great job. And I would like to see more of him and Seth. But
You might get
Seth.
to.
So
You
yeah.
might get to. It's yeah, I think there were just some inconsistencies with the script, but I think they set it up in an interesting way. Like, the fact that Audrey is just gearing up for a war with vampires is also like a really cool plot story hook that they've like established. She keeps saying a war is coming and you're going to be on the right side to Paige. There's just a lot of really cool little hooks here that they certainly could do another movie. The budget for this one, according to Wikipedia anyway, is 100 million. I don't know how Netflix justifies. I guess they must do enough views, but they, how many subscriptions is that? I who knows how they do that arithmetic. But if they make it back, maybe they'll do a follow up. And I think there's still some cool storytelling to do here, and they've built a cool world. They just need to work on some of the consistency stuff and some of the character development stuff in a way that doesn't sacrifice the humor
Yeah.
or the cool action scenes, which they definitely had down. Like the humor and the cool action scenes, nailed it.
Yeah, and totally. And I also thought it was interesting that they decided to release this in August versus closer to Halloween season, but maybe they're hoping to get some kind of like ramp up and they may be like pushing this to get the views for Halloween.
I mean, if you're
But
gonna have a summer vampire killing movie, it was definitely this one. This felt summery. Like
it did
Jamie
feel
Foxx's
summery.
wardrobe alone, all his Hawaiian shirts.
Oh no, it was great. And it definitely felt like that. But I don't know. But maybe again, they're just gonna like roll that into the Halloween season and they just have this on all the sort of recommendations for the, that kind of thing. But yeah, so I know kind of I think it is a fun little watch. So if you just are in the mood for sort of a popcorn film, this is it. And I would definitely watch a sequel.
Well, you might get to. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of it. I think this is a go out and watch it. Just know that it's not like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't win any Oscars, that's for sure.
No.
um yeah. And Dave Franco is a delight. Hopefully
He is.
he's not going to start an acting school. That would probably be ill-advised on his part.
But no, he did a great job, and I did really like their chemistry. So maybe we'll see them again in this world. So that would be fun.
So I think when we get back together, oh, by the way, did you see there was so much news out there about like Walking Dead zombies and how
Yeah, but I just haven't been reading it because I haven't,
it just feels like spoilers. Yeah, I don't want to read it.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't add that in.
Yeah, I just mentioned it for that there's just a lot of that out there, and I think we're switching gears to go to Walking Dead next. So we will start talking about season 11. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it here. A little shorty today, but we'll be back next time to start the process of talking about The Walking Dead season 11, the final chapter or whatever it's called. And I hope that you can join us for that. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us at reanimatedpodcast@gmail.com. Our show notes, and we'll link to the trailers and some of our thoughts on Twitter at reanimatedpcast. And you can find us on Podbean and Overcast and Apple Podcasts and all over the place. Apparently, little known fact, most of people listen to our podcast on Spotify. This is something I've learned since switching to Podbean. So that's kind of our new hosting platform right now. But yeah, holler at us and get back with us next time on Reanimated. And thanks for listening, and bye-bye.
Until next time, ciao.